All right, let's dive right in. We are going deep inside one of the most vital, most fascinating little engines in, well, pretty much every cell in your body. You've definitely heard its nickname, but trust me, the real story of the mitochondrion is way cooler.
Yup, there it is. We all learned this phrase in biology class, didn't we? It's the one thing everyone seems to remember. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell. Simple enough.
But that simple label hides an absolutely incredible story of molecular engineering. How in the world does this tiny, tiny engine convert the food you eat into the actual energy that powers every single thought you have, every move you make? Well, that's what we're here to find out.
To really get how it works, we first have to understand how it's built. So think of this next part as an architectural tour. We're going to take a look at the blueprint of our little powerhouse.
So here's the crucial thing to understand. It's not just some passive battery. It's a biochemical machine. It is actively converting the potential energy that's locked up in your food into a molecule called ATP. And ATP is basically the universal energy currency that all your cells spend to get anything done.
Okay, so this diagram is our map. Let's look at the key parts. You see that smooth outer membrane? That's kind of the outer shell. And then inside that, you have this super folded inner membrane. And don't worry, we'll get back to those folds. Right in the very center is a fluid-filled space called the matrix. Every single one of these zones has a critical job to do. The most fundamental feature of its design is this double membrane wall. The source material uses a fantastic analogy here. It's like a thermos bottle. And that design is all about creating separate, controlled environments. That separation is the whole key to how it works. And these two membranes couldn't be more different from each other. The outer one is smooth. It's pretty much a welcome mat, letting almost everything in. But the inner membrane? Oh, that's the bouncer. It is super selective, folded into all these complex shapes, and it tightly controls every single thing that passes through. This control is everything. So let's zoom in on that inner membrane, because this is where all the action happens. This isn't just a wall, it's the main factory floor. Which brings up a pretty obvious question, right? Why all the folds? Why isn't it just a simple, smooth sphere inside the other one? Well, in biology, form always follows function, and there is a brilliant reason for this design. It's all about real estate. Every single one of those folds, which are called cristae, is there for one reason: to dramatically increase the available surface area. More surface area means more room for all the machinery needed for energy production. And the scale of this is just staggering. The surface area of this inner membrane can be up to 5 times larger than the outer membrane that contains it. It's like fitting a 5-story factory into a 1-story building. Just incredible. And this shows you what all that extra space is for. The entire surface is studded with these amazing molecular machines called ATP synthesis. Think of them as microscopic turbines. They are the literal engines that are going to forge those ATP molecules. All right, so we've toured the factory. Now let's see how the assembly line actually works. How do we get from, say, a molecule of sugar all the way to usable energy? It really boils down to a 3-step process. First, over in the central matrix, fuel gets broken down in what's called the Krebs cycle. This releases a bunch of high-energy electrons. Second, those electrons get passed down an assembly line of proteins. And third, the energy from that whole process is used to power those ATP synthase turbines we just saw. So that second step is called the electron transport system. And honestly, the best way to think of it is a relay race. Each protein complex hands off these high-energy electrons to the next one in the chain, and with each handoff, a little bit of energy gets released. Now, here's the really clever part. The energy that's released during that relay race isn't wasted. It's used to pump protons, which are just positively charged hydrogen atoms, across the inner membrane. This builds up a huge concentration of protons on one side, creating a powerful electrical and chemical gradient, kind of like water building up behind a dam. In this diagram shows the big payoff. That built-up pressure from all the protons has only one way to escape: right through those ATP synthase turbines. As the protons rush through, they physically force the machine to spin, and that spinning motion literally mashes a phosphate group onto a molecule of ADP, creating ATP. The potential energy from the gradient gets converted into chemical energy. It's amazing. The efficiency is just breathtaking. From the breakdown of just one single molecule of glucose,
This entire process inside the mitochondria generates a net total of 36 ATP molecules. It is an unbelievably productive energy factory. But the sheer complexity of this whole process kind of points to a deeper story. Mitochondria aren't just these tiny machines. Their very existence is one of the most compelling biological mysteries inside our own bodies. And here's the big twist. Mitochondria have their own DNA. Yeah, it's completely separate from the main DNA that's in our cell's nucleus. And get this mitochondrial DNA is circular, just like the DNA you find in bacteria. It even has its own little protein-building factories that are more like bacterial ones than our own.
All of this evidence points to one stunning conclusion: the symbiont hypothesis. This theory suggests that billions of years ago, mitochondria were actually their own free-living bacteria. They got swallowed up by an early ancestor of our cells, but instead of being digested, they formed a partnership, a symbiosis. That ancient bacterium became the powerhouse we all rely on today. So, the next time you hear someone say the powerhouse of the cell, you can remember the intricate factory, the spinning turbines, and the ancient bacterial guest living inside of you. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are our cells hiding?